The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another Reader's Magnet featured author interview. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for this session. Joining me is one of the Reader's Magnet's featured authors that is here with us to share his journey as an author and, of course, tell us more about, the journey, the story behind this specific book right here. Okay, so before we start, I just wanna, introduce and our author guest for today. That's Henry Arrowood. Hi, Henry. How are you
Hi,
today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great and really is excited to have this interview session with you. Finally, I've been really reading your book synopsis online and got really just interested to know more about it. But before we tackle more about this book, Henry, kindly please introduce yourself to our audience right now.
My name is Henry Arrowood. Um, I live in a little town in Oklahoma, Moreland, Oklahoma, but I have lived in many places. And as we go through this interview, I'll tell you about some of that.
Okay, we are excited to know more about you, Henry. Now let's tackle more about this book. When I wore SS on my collar. Henry, can you please how did you choose the title for your book? It's kind of unique and
Yeah.
what is the significance that it hold for you?
Well, I've lived a long life already,
Mm-hmm.
and the first 5 decades of my life were as a member and then as an officer in the Salvation Army. And before retiring and entering other fields of endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
and teenager, my Sunday go to meeting attire was a little uniform that was topped off with S's on my collar, identifying me as a member of the Salvation Army Church.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wore S's on my collar when I became a cadet
Uh-huh.
at the Salvation Army Evangeline Booth College, which is a seminary officer training institution in Atlanta, Georgia. Upon graduating, I was ordained, commissioned, and given the rank of lieutenant and appointed to my first command, which was Greenwood, South Carolina. Then my navy blue uniform was trimmed with white S's on a red background on my collar
Mm.
and a white star on my shoulder. So all the story, the point is, all the stories, all the characters, all the saints about whom I wrote, all the events referred to in the book occurred when I wore S's on my collar. So that's
Oh,
that's
so
how I
that's
came
how
up
you
with
got.
the title. Yes, yes.
Right. So I'm sorry for asking this, Henry. What is an SS or S on colors? Is
Well,
are those?
it can stand for salvation as a part of the name of the Salvation Army, but I was told at an early age by an officer, a pastor, that it meant saved to serve. so
Oh,
so that's
that's your
what I
purpose.
saved to serve. Yes.
Wow, nice. SS on my collar. Wow. So what or who or maybe who inspired you or motivated you to, write this book, Henry?
Well, some years ago, I read an excellent book by Dr. Francis Schaeffer
Mm-hmm.
entitled No Little People, No Little Places. And throughout the book, the recurring message was that in God's economy, ordinary people have proven to be the most useful vessels through which He accomplishes His will, His divine purpose, and that there are no minorities in the kingdom and no insignificant places of ministry. So Schaeffer affirms throughout that ordinary people, through ordinary people, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask or think. That's found in Ephesians, by the way.
Mhm.
After reading the book and digesting the significant points that Schaefer gave, I began to think about those people who had impacted my life. Mostly, they were ordinary people, simple folk,
Mhm. Right.
but people who knew the value of prayer and the power of the Word of God. So I started journaling those stories about those extraordinary, ordinary people, and 50 some of those stories, I think 52, are in the book. So,
Wow. That's a lot.
yeah.
I just love how you still remember all of those stories and put it into one book,
Well,
Henry.
one reason I do remember them is from an early age, uh, I started journaling,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I kept journals through my teen years, and still do. And so I was able to go back to some of those, and
Right.
also I did do a column in a Salvation Army periodical for a while,
Uh-huh.
and I shared some of those stories along the way. That's back in the '90s, but
Mhm.
anyway, I
That
and I indicate in the book uh, all the information in the stories may not be entirely accurate,
Mhm.
but they are true.
That's very
So,
true. That's the
well,
most important thing here.
I may have embellished a few of them, is what I'm saying,
Yeah,
but the
of
stories are
course.
true.
Right, right. That's something we totally understand. You know, sometimes we need to exaggerate things to really put out the emotions that we are trying to portray through writing. So yeah, I totally understand that, and we are really curious about what this book is all about. And for sure, we this is something, of course, stories about the people you've met, funny ones, maybe sorrowful ones, sad stories might be here as well, and that is something we want to know more about. But um, given that these are, you know, real life stories, Henry, what do you think you consider the hardest thing to write this book? Part, maybe?
The hardest?
Yeah.
Well, just the hardest thing was, of course, all of them I rewrote to make sure that they
And then
were
trying to remember
appropriate.
everything, right?
Right. Uh, but the hardest thing was um, I don't remember who said it first, but that
Right.
um, uh, done is better than perfect. So I, I had a hard time. I had a hard time finishing it. Getting it
Right, right.
just
I
like
get
that.
you.
And should I include this story, or should I
Hmm.
leave it out, or should I? Or is this what you know? And that was the
Yeah, I
hardest
get you,
thing, is
Henry.
selecting the
That
stories that
must,
I should or shouldn't include in the book.
yeah. It must have gave you a, let's say, a writer's block, you know, a hard time to really think of either continue doing this one or maybe proceed with another story.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, with that, on the backflip, Henry, tell me, what do you think is, or do you consider the most rewarding part when you were writing or experienced during writing this book?
I think just revisiting in my mind
Right.
those characters and saints and a few scoundrels, by the way, who left a lasting impression on me and
Mm-hmm.
impacted my life in significant, positive, and in some instances life changing ways. Again, ordinary people for the most part, although I do share a little about some memorable experiences with a few icons, rich and famous. Those kind of
Ooh.
people, like, for example, Joe Montana, Sean
Mm-hmm.
Connery. I met and spent some time with him in the Bahamas. I was stationed I was the regional commander for the Salvation Army in the Bahamas for a period of time, and met Sean Connery. In fact, he was so impressed with what the Salvation Army was doing there
Of
that he
course.
donated a van for our school for the blind in Nassau. And then this is a biggie, one of the biggies. Uh,
Mhm.
Queen Elizabeth actually had a
Are you kidding
conversation
me?
with the Queen, who, of
Wow.
course, the Bahamas is a part of the British Commonwealth of Nations, and
Wow.
she, on anniversaries, sometimes she would visit the Bahamas, and they would have a big event, but I mean, actually, rather private event, just people, certain people were selected.
Yeah, intimate
And for some
gathering there.
reason, I guess because I was the head of the army, I was selected. And she was coming down at the reception, a pathway, and she saw our uniforms, recognized,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh,
came over and spoke to us. And had that's just a memorable experience.
for sure. A
Not many
core
people.
memory.
Yeah.
Is it
So,
included
but
in
the,
the book?
but the best was Billy Graham.
Mm.
I spent some time with Billy Graham, had one-on-one conversation with him, and that was probably a highlight of my life. I think he was
Wow.
such a humble. Uh, anyway, when I left, I actually felt like I'd been with Jesus. So
Wow. Are those experiences included in the book, Henry?
yeah, yes, they are. The only one that's included to any degree, I make reference to the others, but well, no, I did do one about Joe Montana, but that was
Mhm.
one of the funny ones. But about Billy Graham, I do have a chapter in the book about Billy Graham and that experience. So
Wow. That's nice. That's nice, Henry. It's something, fulfilling to
yeah,
to have this book, for you to able to remember everything and put it into one, it's something that will stay forever. Henry, and it's just really important, especially for those your family and all of that is interested about this book. Now, I just can't wait. I mean, I just can't deny this fact about that I am really actually interested about this book cover. I missed to ask you, who is the guy in the book cover?
that is moi.
That is you, of course. Okay,
That's me
wow.
when I was just entering the Salvation Army College, the seminary, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was, I don't know, 20, 21 years old, something like that. And so that's yeah, that's me.
Okay, that's good to know, just to clarify everything. Now, other question, Henry, what do you think, or what are you hoping your readers will take away after reading your book, When I Wore SS on My Collar?
Well, I'm hoping, of course, that a lot of Salvationists will read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Most books about the Salvation Army uh, are written by active Salvation Army officers or staff, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not that now. I was, but it's I have not been an official part of the Salvation Army for 20 some years. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm hoping that Salvationists will read the book and recall and share. As a result, be inspired to recall and share some of their own stories about
Mm-hmm.
people who have impacted their lives, parents, officer, pastors, and other Salvationists who have impacted their life for good and for God. But I sincerely hope that a lot of people who have never had an opportunity to get an inside look at what the Salvation Army is all about, and
Mm-hmm.
that read this book and will be blessed by the inspirational stories. We'll get a few good laughs at the funny stuff, and will become more informed about the organization's mission and
Right.
purpose. But that's what I hope results from the book.
Right. I just feel like really um happy because I felt like through Readers Magnet we are also helping you, you know, put your words out there, Henry. As we always say here at Readers Magnet, we share your story with the world, and it's just that the good thing about this interview, Henry, is that it is going to be broadcasted live in all of our social media platforms, and will stay there forever. And
Oh,
so anytime anyone can stumble upon this video and be able to watch it, and maybe we don't know, I mean, the people that are meant to watch this will be able to see this, right?
right.
So this, I just really feel happy that I am part of this journey. I am
Right.
now part of this journey, Henry. And I just can't wait. I mean, I just can't stop thinking if you are also maybe doing new projects or currently working on something. Is it can you drop or share us something, a hint or a teaser for this new project of yours?
Well, I'm working on a sequel. Some of the
There you go.
stories that I didn't include in this book, I hope to include in the next. But
Hmm.
and it's the title will be well. I started to do a title like stories I told from the pulpit, but probably shouldn't have. But I'm not
Well,
going to do
actually,
that.
that's a good one, Henry, because through
Well,
the title it.
that was another problem I had in selecting the stories. Maybe I shouldn't shouldn't put that in the book.
But with that title, actually builds curiosity, and that is
Yeah, yeah,
a way for your readers to be to be curious about the book and be able to buy a copy because they want to know why not, right? So
yeah.
we want to be clever with our titles here.
Well, the title that I'm planning to use is the title that I used for the column I did when I was doing that for the Salvation Army. Uh, and it's simply characters and saints, and it'll be about
Mm.
people, the characters I have known, saints I have known, and some of them were both, and some of them were only one or the other. But anyway, that's characters and saints, and I think I can cover
It is interesting
a lot of
enough. Yeah, the
ground.
title.
So
Yeah, that's a good
that's
title
the plan.
too. Okay,
Who knows
wow.
if I live long enough, I may even do a work of fiction. I did have a lady to ask me one time those stories that you tell. This is some that I told from the pulpit. Those stories you tell, are they true or are they parables? And I said, well, again, they're not
Yeah.
always accurate, but they are true. And as far as being parables, um, if they are parables, I'd take my example from Jesus because he told a lot of parables.
Right, there are a lot of parables on the Bible. Of course, the stories of Jesus. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just really excited for your future in divorce, Henry, and I hope that you will still be able to, write those that you want to write. Because I believe I heard this from another author on one of our interviews. She said, if there is something in you that you wanna, be shared,
Right.
write it down. Write it down.
Yeah.
Don't
And
put it into waste.
I've done that for years. Yeah. Just
Right.
write it down.
Yeah,
Well,
you've been journaling.
yeah, I'm 80 years old, so I don't know how much more I've got left in me, but
Uh,
I feel fine. I feel like I'm still alert enough
I think so too.
to
All
do it.
right. Wow. Okay, Henry, thank you so much for,
Thank you.
being here with us. I really love our conversation. It was a fascinating one. And before we wrap up this session, I just want you to show your book on camera,
Oh
the
yes.
physical copy of your book, and tell us or invite everyone to buy a copy of this very
Okay.
interesting book.
Uh, this is the book. Are you getting it? Um,
There you go.
yes, and
Okay.
you can purchase this book on Amazon. Just put my name in, and you will go to the site, and or the title of the book, and
Mhm.
also you can get it on Kindle. You can get the e-version
The
of it
ebook.
on Kindle. So, but this is it, and that is me on the cover when I
Wow,
was a few years younger than I am now.
20 years old. 21, I think you said.
I don't remember whether it's 20 or
Yeah.
21. Young.
Okay.
I've got socks older than that now, but
All right, there you go, guys. That's Henry Arrowood, author of When I Wore SS on My Color. So if you are interested to buy a copy of this book, you can visit Amazon or Barnes& and Noble. Just type his name, Henry Arrowood, or the title of the book, When I Wore SS on My Color, and you should be able to find the book. If you don't know how it looks like, you can see it on the screen here. This is how the book looked like, the book cover. So if you can find it on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, grab a copy immediately. Okay, Henry, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. I really loved our conversation. Thank you so much.
so
I'm
did
really
I.
hoping to have another, interview session with you soon. But for now, we have to say goodbye to our audience. For our audience that is watching us right now, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Henry Arrowood. If you want to know more about him, go visit his Amazon page. All right. As we always say here at Readers Magnet, we share your story with a word. Goodbye, Henry.
Goodbye. Thank you.